sometimes.
Choppers.
The hell is a podcast?
What's happening, everybody? We are back with another special episode, a very heavy episode, because I am talking with my man, Brandon from HEVYHAULING.com. That's right, we get into everything van, from van nationals to van parts to where you rest your feet in the van. But before I get into that conversation, just a quick update on things, man. I was going to go to Van Nationals. I think I talk about it in the episode a little bit. Ended up not being able to get out of work. Started looking at the map, and I'm like, man, it's a fucking 12-hour round trip drive to be there for a day. I fucking bitched out. I didn't feel like it, dude. The van, no AC. It's fucking noisy. I'm like, I'll be annoyed the whole fucking time, knowing I got to get back in the van and be hot and miserable and loud. So I was looking at what else is going on, and Panhead Greg, who apparently I mentioned on every fucking episode, hate the guy. He's a terrible, terrible person. He hit me up like, you going to the quarry camp out? And I was like, you mean the camp out at the quarry? And he'd be like, that's the one. And I said, no, I'm not. But I might show up Saturday. And then got out of work late. And me and Christy got to talking and pulled it up on the map. I'm like, it's like 2 hours away. She's like, fuck it, let's go tonight. And I was like, yeah? She was like, let's do it. And loaded up the van, loaded up the mini bikes, shot on down there, told Greg and his crew. Well, I told Greg, don't tell anybody you're with that I'm coming, but I'm on my way right now. I'm going to be there at like 9 o'clock. And he's a man of his word. He just kept telling everybody Garrett's friend is going to be there or something like that. And originally he was supposed to be there before me, but then, hit him up on the way down. I'm like, what's your ETA? They stopped off for Modelo's or Dos Equis and Mexican food. And I had told Josh, I asked Jet Bike Josh, you going down there? He goes, yeah, I'm leaving Saturday. I'm going down there. I said, oh, that's too bad. I'm on my way now. Don't tell anybody I'm coming. And he said, fuck it. I'm leaving. I'm on my way. And he met up with Greg. Both of them who knew I was showing up didn't even tell each other. So them are the kind of fucking people you can trust. And the whole point of that was just surprising Mike. And I knew Garrett was showing up the next day. That's Ohio Garrett and his chick, Labyrinth, a.k.a. Libitina or something like that. But Labyrinth is a better name because of the David Bowie movie. Obviously, don't go that way leads straight to the castle, or whatever they say. So yeah, it's fun to fucking surprise people, fucking camp out was fucking great. We had a super late night adventure, the four of us, that I think I gotta wait 7 years or something to talk about. And then Saturday morning, dude, just like any bike event ever, you're getting rained on. It's gonna happen. So we had the canopy, and we were good for a little while. Had black coffee rolling, and fucking storm came in just like they do. And they had a movie playing up top of this fucking office kind of bar area. So it was a nice little escape from the fucking rain. They had a cool bike show going on. Not too many. There was 2 choppers there, like 2 traditional choppers, and I don't even think they rolled their bikes over to the bike show. That's how fucking chopper these dudes were. I didn't talk to them. I don't know who they were. Fucking bikes were cool looking though. And we just ripped mini bikes around, did a little swimming in the quarry. Quarry? I don't fucking know. I just confused myself so bad. But yeah, Garrett and his chick and her crew showed up Saturday, and I rode my mini bike up, and I was just like, I could see in Garrett's eyes, he was like, I know that person, but that person's not supposed to be here. Cause I was like sending real obscure pictures to him, like fucking Van Nationals is lit, bro. And And so I guess he didn't know I was actually there. So it was fun to fucking surprise him, get to hang out fucking with the homies, and party and do some fun shit and bullshitting and all that kind of shitting. And then Sunday fired back home, and Monday did a little back to Ohio Cedar Point trip. So I just keep dipping into Ohio and dipping out. When you dip, I dip, we dip. But without too much more rambling on, you'll notice in this interview, I am flying the ship solo for this one. And we got an excellent Clownin segment you don't want to miss. Mig and OG are at it again. And they're firing from the hip, baby. And they getting everybody. So, without too much more rambling, I know I already said that. I repeat myself. What do you want from me? I'm not reading off a script. I'm going off the dome. I have no idea what's going on. So, fuck it. Let's get into it.
I'm bored with this. I'm gonna bring my guest in. I'm getting bored with this. I'm gonna bring my guest in.
All right, what's up, everybody? We got Brandon here. You might know him as the Heavy Van Man. Well, not man, but
what's up?
What's going on, man?
Not too much. Just trying to recover from Van Nationals. It was a hell of a week,
dude. It looked fucking insane, man.
It was wild. I mean, just on numbers, like over 180 vans. I heard it's the most they've had in at least 20 years. So I mean, just on sheer vans alone, it was crazy. And I think so we got in like early Tuesday morning. It officially opens Wednesday, but vendors we got to set up. So we got in early Tuesday morning, and I heard, I don't know if this is an official number, so don't quote me on it, but I heard they had like 600 through the gate just by Wednesday evening.
By Wednesday?
So
damn.
Yeah, so they were just, it was gnarly. It was just nonstop vans, and I guess we'll talk all about it, but it was crazy. I've been to a few Van Nationals now, and this was, you could tell it was the biggest. There was a lot of energy in the air. And you just gotta love it. A party for, from Wednesday to Sunday, nonstop action for, that long. And then on top of that, to have the best van show on the planet, see so many radical vans, so many full custom show vans. And just to see a lot of, if heavy van, heavy hauling, and kind of, our thing, we're into the pretty shitty vans. So to see so many just normal ass vans come through too, it was very, all types. It was super fun.
Yeah, dude, it looked nuts. My Instagram feed was nonstop just shit from Van Nationals. I was like, man. So
I was kind of bugging because I didn't really take many photos. I usually try to be way on top of it, but we just stayed so busy that I was never pulling the phone out. But then same thing, I get back here, I'm looking at Instagram, and it's man, everybody got the photos. As long as you're following a couple people that were there, you're going to get linked into, all the accounts, lots of great photos. And of course there are, a bunch of pro photographers there. So I figure we'll have lots of good photos from the show and from all the events within the event,
Right. Yeah. So I seen on your Instagram, you had a booth set up. So were you vending every day, pretty much all day long?
Yep.
Or how'd that work?
Yep. It's really, we consider Van Nats to be our biggest show of the year, and we put a lot of time into preparing for it. So we went, bigger than last year, just brought some stuff that people know us for, the beef, the floor mats, the mud flaps, all that, but also kind of brought some stuff just for the Nats. So we did, I guess we'll get into what heavy hauling does, but we get a lot of salvage parts and also vintage dead stock parts. We've been able to kind of locate some inventory from old truck shops that went out of business and stuff like that. So we had all these new old stock fur or faux fur seat covers,
yeah,
and also all these old steering wheel wraps, but all the packaging was thrashed. So like we made our own packaging for it and came up with displays that we thought just made it fun, you know?
Yeah.
So the idea was that you were like kind of transported, you know, back to the 70s or the 80s where you'd have like a truck accessories shop that you could just, you know, get a couple put-ons for your rig and, you know, kind of spice it up. So we really wanted to just have like a little mini truck shop there. And the booth just came out crazy. Like, I mean, literally all credit to Allison, my, you know, my best friend and business partner, life partner, all that. She just went above and beyond with just design work, signage, packaging, all that. You know, we had a lot of big ideas, and when it all came together, it was a pretty fun booth, you know, real fluffy, real sparkly, kind of all the things we go for.
Dude, I'll tell you this. When we were debating, because me and my old lady were going to ride down, and then I got out of work late, and she couldn't cut out of work Friday. We were planning on leaving Friday early morning, but when it was like coming down to the wire of like making the decision, round trip for the amount of time we're going to be there, the only thing I was thinking was like, I wanted to get some shit from Heavy. That's all I was thinking. I was like, dude, he's got these fucking plates there. Fucking, he's said he's bringing shit like just for, like, I just wanted to check it out because.
Oh yeah, well, you know, we kind of.
shit.
I love to hear it because that's what we kind of want to create, that draw. You know, the big thing is like, the thing that makes these big truck-ins is the people, and the Van Nats being the biggest of the year. You got to get a lot of people out, and like it's always, you know, it's always a different location, but it can be really tough. You know, some people are right around the corner, and other people are coming, you know, halfway, if not all the way across the country. So we figure like, I don't know, that's kind of not to take like credit for it overall. It's a lot that goes into it, but like if we can do our part to try to get more people out, you know, we want to show that we go a little extra for it, you know? So like, if you're going to make the trip, there'll be something there for you.
Right.
And you know, after the fact, the beauty of it is we got a website. I mean, we shipped 1,000 van parts last year. You know, we're always shipping stuff. So people that missed it, like, you can still, you know, you can hit heavyhauling.com. We're going to get, you know, all the special stuff we did just for the show. We have some leftovers. We're going to get them on the site this week. You know, but originally we were going to like release everything beforehand. And then we were like, you know what? No, like it's a special event, and people are really like, I mean, between the price of gas and just the time off work, like any of this stuff, like people are doing a lot to get out there. So let's make it special. Let's kind of make it a surprise. And, I mean, I'm really happy with how it worked out. I mean, I'm really psyched on the booth. I'm really psyched on the spread we brought, and just like the feedback from people, it was just amazing. You know, it's just so cool to hear so many positive things, you know, all week. It really kind of boosts my ego a little bit, but it's awesome.
For sure. But there ain't nothing wrong with that when you put in the work, you know what I mean? It's not boosting your ego just to boost it. It's like you put in mad amount of work for it, like you definitely deserve a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we were stressing a bit leading up to it, you know, just like working around the clock, just like, you know, certain things like I don't even know if it's going to come together. I mean, we did those paint your own mud flaps, and we didn't say anything to anyone on those just because we like didn't know if they'd even arrive on time.
Right.
You know, so like it's just a lot of stuff like that, just trying to get the stars to align. And like when it all came together, it was just perfect. Like we got to cruise out when we wanted to cruised out early. Got to hit the creep out the weekend before, which is like the best freaking party on the East Coast. It's so good.
Yeah, that looked nuts. That looked more my speed right there. That I was like, man.
They're like two completely different events, but like, man, the creep out is so cool. And we said it's so fun because it's been like, we don't vend there, and it's been a while since I went to a truck in and like wasn't focused on like pushing product and you know, running a booth and like all that. So like to just go and park up the van and just enjoy like a really good party, like that's the one. I mean, I don't think we'll ever miss the creep out. And I'd put it on your calendar if I were you. You know, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's like a nice little treat for yourself, you know, especially the way it felt like the weekend before, I think it was. So you got to just
Yep.
chill, relax, like
Yeah.
be hanging out and not be worried about, because I'm sure like Van Nance was fun, but for you was definitely probably a lot of work too.
It's work. Yeah, it is work. I mean, I think we definitely made a point this year of like doing like being strict about our schedule so that we knew that like, I could get away and play some van games, or like we could get out and go on the cruise, or, like making sure that we got involved with more of the stuff going on. Cause I think last year we just like stayed locked in our booth like 24/7 and kind of like missed a lot of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's where like Creep Out was killer because we got to totally let go. And then also like our buddy Jordan came up from Atlanta. He's got that yellow Vuck that you've probably seen on our page.
Yeah.
It's like for the listeners, it's a G van that was basically chopped into a pickup truck. And it's got an LS motor in it. I mean, the thing rips, and it's super fun van. And so he came up for the Creep Out. He ended up coming back here to the shop after the Creep Out, helped us out with loading up and all that. And then we got to cruise out to the Nats together. And that's really fun because you've seen our setup between Heidi and the trailer. I mean, we're driving like a freight train down the highway.
Yeah.
And then right behind us is this bright yellow, like chopped up G van. So it was just a freak show going all the way down the highway. Everyone that passed is sticking phones out the window and waving at us and all that. So that's super fun too,
Oh, for sure, dude. We went down to that camp out at the quarry, and I'm just rolling that 84 G20. And, just like normal paint job, nothing wild on the outside or anything. But I was like just daydreaming, got out of work, we shot down there, and Christy's like, dude, that guy's giving you a thumbs up. That guy's giving you a thumbs up. And I'm like, yeah, what? And then I looked, and he was like 2 car lengths in front of me at this point, and he was still like thumbs up until I recognized him. And I was like, oh, dude,
hell yeah,
made my day. Like he was right next to me, and I just didn't look over, and I was like, that's the shit right there. Like, just feels cool.
Old vans and G vans specifically just get people so stoked because like, if your parents didn't have one, your uncle did, or your cousin did, or like everyone's got a story about a G van that they went camping in when they were, 5 years old or whatever. Like, I just feel like so many people can relate to them. So like whether it's fully custom or whether it's just a conversion van or a cargo van or whatever, like I feel like anywhere you go, like you're just always getting stopped by people. People get psyched.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Everybody does have that. Like my dad used to buy one like in the spring, and he did body work and shit on the side, so he'd clean it up, paint them, and then we'd roll that for the summer, camping around like the UP, Michigan, come back home, and he'd fucking sell it, like September, August, end of August, he'd have it up for sale, and then next year it was just like, boom, we got another one.
Yeah, do it all over again. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so when I was like looking to get a van, he was like, don't do it. I'm like, what do you mean don't do it? You've had like 18 fucking vans. He was like, yeah, but I never held on to them. And I'm like, you don't hold on to anything, dude. His motto's like, I'm not married to the vehicles. And so for me, it's so tough, dude. I'm like, well, I got this mini bike. I fixed it, so now I can never sell it. You know what I mean? Or I got this motorcycle. I fixed it, and it's cool, and I love it, and I can never I don't know how to sell this thing. I don't want to.
Yeah, I get like emotionally attached to every single shit box I bring in, I'm like, it's funny because I was out cleaning Heidi before the Nats getting her already, and like a neighbor stopped by, and we're new to the neighborhood, like at least our shop, like we've only been here about a year now, so people are still just kind of getting a feel for what's going on with like all the weird vans around and stuff.
Right.
And so some guy stopped by, and he's like, oh, so like what do you do here? Like, you customize these things? And I was like, oh yeah, like I kind of collect them and customize them and whatever. And he's like, and then you sell them? And I'm like, well, no, like we sell, parts and accessories for the vans.
Right.
And he's like, oh, but you customize this one? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, so when you finish customizing them, you sell them? And I'm like, no, I'm a weirdo. Like I buy all these and I keep them. So like we just have a pile of freaking vans. I got a pile of Harleys too. Like I have a bad habit of, I get emotionally attached. Like, as soon as I hear an engine run, you take it from like sitting in a field to actually running. You're like, oh, this is mine now. I'm never, ever getting rid of it.
Yeah. Oh, 100. I fucking bought a mini bike. I can't remember now. It's like a 66, I think. wasn't running, got it running, and then my lady and her friend Caitlin rode their mini bikes to the bar, and she was like, "This dude just offered me like $650 for this mini bike," and I was like, "Don't sell it." It's like so much more than I paid for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
just
my
fucking
thing is
ride it
too,
home.
like, yeah, I always regret it when I sell them, and it's like, I mean, even parts too. It's funny. Like I usually, back we were doing a lot more salvage before. Now it's like moved a lot more into like the floor mats and stuff.
Right.
But especially with salvage, like I've always stashed G-Van stuff just because like I have a pile of them. But then it seems like everything I choose to get rid of, it's like a week later, I'm like, God damn it, why did I sell that? Like I need that,
Yep, That's exactly how it goes. Or like a buddy needs it, and you're like, "Here you go, man," and then fucking 2 weeks later, you're like, "Oh, dude."
It actually worked out with my Dodge Dakota is like my daily driver right now, and it was a truck that I owned years back, and actually like back when Allison and I were dating long distance, like I had it then, and then there's a whole story there, but like I had to sell it off, sold it here locally, and then I'd always talk about it. I was like, man, that was it was just a good truck, like it was just a good hardworking truck. And then I randomly saw it pop up on Marketplace, and I actually like posted it to my story and was like, haha, this is my old truck or whatever. And Allison came over the other side of the shop. She was like, yo, why aren't you buying that? And I was like, what? And she's like, you always talk about how that's the one that got away, like go get it. And so like I messaged the dude and was like, yo, did I sell this to you like 3 years ago on a farm? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, I want my truck back. And he was so psyched. We ended up like the test drive we took, we had to have taken like a 45-minute test drive, just like reminiscing about like stories we both had like with the truck. And like, and it was fun to like, see it come back. So like there I go, like the one truck I sell, I end up buying it back.
That's awesome, man. Not too many people get the one that got away back.
Yeah, right. It feels good to have it back. I've been putting it to work ever since, and it was actually really nice. He's actually like a mechanic at our local like VW dealership. So I got it back in better condition than I sold it to him. He took really good care of it. Yeah. So like all in all, it was like the perfect transaction.
Yeah, you're like, here, buy this truck from me, make it better, and then when you're done making it better, I'll take it back.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually bought it back for cheaper than I sold it to him for.
Damn.
And he like thanked me for not negotiating with him. And I was just like, bro, like I know what I sold it to you for. Like you're selling it to me for a very fair price. Like we're good.
Right. Yeah, that is cool. Like when you're buying something like especially like a bigger purchase, like a vehicle or something, motorcycle, whatever it is, and you go check it out and you're like happy with what they want for it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm usually like, I am a fierce negotiator. Like I'll make people with me uncomfortable. I think I heard this about you on the podcast.
Yeah, dude.
But like, yeah, I'm the type that like my friends walk away because they're like, bro, like you're going too hard,
Yeah.
But like, I'm usually a fierce negotiator, but there's certain times when you just know, and you're just like, yo, it's not like, this is like an extremely fair deal. Like I'm good,
Right. Yeah. There's times where you definitely got to recognize like, oh, this is like, I'm comfortable paying this. The dude's cool. Mm-hmm. What it is like exactly what I need, or it's in the condition better than I expected it to be in. Like I'm good with, makes their day too. Cause they're already, they know when you show up.
Yeah.
Like, this dude's going to try to get me down,
Yeah.
But yeah, I go hard on the go. I just know what I'm willing to spend, and
I'll do what it takes to get it there. Like, yeah, you wave cash in someone's face, you can usually, that's usually pretty enticing. So
right, yeah, and you pick it apart a little bit, but in like a constructive way, where you're like, oh, this is nice, but this really sucks, and this is it's cool here, but like this is fucked right here. So I'm gonna give you a third of what you want, and
Yeah.
you know. But you gotta be able to walk away too, though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Totally.
if they don't, and then a lot of times, dude, before you walk away, they'll meet you where you want to be. Or I've had
Yeah.
people call me later, like, "Hey, dude, I still got this
Yeah.
bike.
Come back.
Come get it." And you're like, "All right, but the price went down, man. I'm sorry, I don't have the
Yeah.
grand anymore. I only got 800. I
Yep.
spent
It's
$200.
$200
You know?
cheaper now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's exactly
Yeah.
how buying my Softail went. But yeah,
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
where are you based out of?
So we're Eastern Pennsylvania, like
Okay.
Allentown area, if you're familiar, Northampton, if you're really familiar. Um, and like I said, we just got in our shop within the past year. It's actually been awesome. We're like went out to Van Nats last year, and that's when we released like our first set of floor mats, like the 83 to 96 G Van floor mats. And at that time we were like running it out of the house that we rent, and it was like, dude, I had like van parts in the kitchen, van parts out on the deck, van parts in the living room, the garage was full, like it was insane. And you know, when we were out at Nats, we were just like, we have to find a space. Like I mean, the first set of mats, I actually like, you know, I told the company like, hey, you got to call me when these are like, you know, shipping, because we got to like coordinate delivery a little bit. And they actually never called me. I got a call from the trucking company like, hey, we have these, you know, we have 2 pallets ready to drop off today. Is your address this? And I was like, that's like my home address. Like, you can't like drop off pallets on the sidewalk. So I ended up having to like reconsign it to, I actually called like my dad's office and was like, yo, could I like meet a truck like back in the back of the parking lot? And so we like met the truck and slid the pallet straight off the truck into the back of the van.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like it was like going to Nats, we were just like, fuck, we need a space, you know? And like I'm sure it's the same everywhere. Like garage, like good garage spaces, shop spaces, whatever, are just like hard to find. And when they're good, they go quick, or they have like weird regulations with what you can do and all that.
Right.
And we kind of stumbled upon this place that was like, I mean, it's literally 5 minutes from our house. It's so convenient. And like we knew it would be good, but we just had no idea like how perfect it would be. It's been like, I mean, our business has grown so much just like moving into this space, because now we can handle pallets, we can handle just like bigger buyouts. Like like I said, we've been lucky enough to buy some like old truck shop inventory and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's been like truckloads full, you know? So like just to be able to handle that much stuff, to have like a dedicated shipping area where I'm not like trying to like cut big boxes in like our office and then take them out to the garage and pack them or whatever.
Right.
Like just all that has been like so good for our growth. So like I feel just so stoked to be in here. And yeah, if you're ever in Eastern Pennsylvania, you got to stop by and see what we got going on. It's pretty fun.
For sure. I've only been to Pennsylvania once, I think, and it was back when like we were doing music, and we had some shows in New York. And
Okay.
At some point in Pennsylvania, we got off to get gas, and dude, it was the weirdest little mountain town with like all Victorian homes on Main Street, and then like a huge Masonic temple that was gnarly architecture. And we pull into this gas station, and it's like a scene from a movie, like 2 dudes in overalls, like old farmers, like leaned over the bed of a truck talking. And like,
hell yeah,
my buddy at the time had dreadlocks, and I have super long hair and look like a dirtbag. And like, we roll out of this rented Impala, smelling crazy, and they just stared at us as we walked in. And I was like, dude, I don't think we belong in this town. I don't think this is gonna be good. But it was so weird.
That sounds like it could be like any central Pennsylvania town, to be honest. You know,
I had no idea
there's
where
so
it
many of
was.
those little towns along the way, like exactly like you've described.
Yeah, that was my only experience with Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania's really good for picking. If you're into bikes, or you're into vans, really anything old. We find like the closer we get to like the core center of Pennsylvania, like that's where some of the best picking is. You know, there's a lot of stuff
Oh yeah,
stashed away in barns. There's, you know, also like killer antique malls, great auctions, flea markets, like all that. So
you're speaking my language.
we really like had it in our heads when we started this thing, you know, a couple of years ago. Like we're just gonna move west, you know, because it's the land of rust-free vehicles. And I mean, I'm really into like skateboarding and snowboarding and all that kind of stuff. So it was just like, oh, like out west just makes sense.
Right.
But the more she got used to Pennsylvania, she's like, I really like it here. Like it kind of, you know, it's not as flashy as out west, but like it's got all the stuff we like, you know.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, we hung around.
Yeah, so with like the picking and the vintage shit, like I've been selling vintage like clothing and toys and just random shit I find because I'll just ride my bike to these estate sales or out in the middle of nowhere and see like a barn and see someone out there and be like, hey dude, can I like look in your barn? I have money in my pocket. And like people are real cool. And I had a buddy who moved to Florida and he's like, dude, you have no idea how good it is up there. Like all the old shit is up there. He's like, I find nothing down here that's old. You know, like
yeah, we really see it like on the road. Like we just never really. I will say like Ohio is super sick for picking too. I guess like the Midwest in general.
Yeah,
but yeah, as soon as we get like down south or out west, you just can't seem to find it as good.
Right. I think there's just more people who have been here longer, so there's just like older shit. And then when they like move out west or to Florida to retire, they like just leave everything behind. They ain't bringing all that shit with them. So you end up finding, you know, all this cool shit.
Oh yeah.
So you said you started this like a couple of years ago, or?
Yeah, I guess so. It like, well, so I got Heidi, you know, my big blue van with the white high top and the spade windows up in the high top. I got her. I mean, I got her as an empty cargo van. I guess somewhere like maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And I actually got her as a bike hauler. I was buying and selling Harley parts, you know, just ripping apart a lot of Evo Sportsters and selling the pieces. You know, you can get them for freaking pennies and the parts are worth a bit of money. So it was like, I was just messing with bikes, selling Harley parts, like, and the pickup truck I had at the time, it was actually another Dodge Dakota. That took a shit and I just needed a bike hauler. And so I got this giant cargo van. And that's when like I was checking out like some of the old, you know, the old van magazines, Truckin' Mags and Vans and Trucks and Pickups and Vans and Vans Illustrated and all that shit, you know?
Yeah.
I was seeing just like how they were doing it. I remember one article I saw some guy like build a fish tank into the wall of his van. And I was just like, whoa, this shit rules. Like custom vanning is crazy. And so I realized that like this van could be a lot more.
Right.
And so kind of took it like, you know, because when I got it, it's a Vandura GMC. So it had like GMC badges, but then it had like a Chevy grill. Half the hubcaps were Chevy, half were GMC. One mirror's painted, one mirror's chrome. Bumpers dented, like your standard like fucked up cargo van, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I was just hitting the junkyards and I was getting cool parts for it, you know, chrome bumpers and chrome mirrors and all the nice shiny stuff. And so like I'd go to the yards and I'd take a picture of like the van that I was picking and I would get messages like, yo, get me those taillights, get me those windows, whatever. And so that turned into like a little side hustle that it was just like, okay, I'll like sell off some van parts here and there. Like I mean, for the entirety of my life, I've been like a hustler in one way or another, buying and selling, you know?
Right.
So it was just like the next thing, like, hey, I'm into this. I can go to the yard, get parts for my van, and I can cover it by selling some other people parts.
Yeah, perfect.
but it was like the demand was kind of crazy. Like it turned into like I could put stuff up, on my story, and like it was sold in like minutes. And then I had 3 people behind them asking like, "Hey, I need that too." And so I'd been telling Allison at the time. Allison was living in St. Louis. I was living in Pennsylvania. And I was telling her like, I really feel like there's something here. Like I could start a business around this. And she went to the Van Nats with me that year. That was the 47th in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And
was that the first year you went?
Yep.
Okay.
And that was like coming home from that, we were just driving and she was like, I get it now. Like we should go for it,
Dude,
and
that's
so
awesome.
she ended up, she quit her job in St. Louis. She was nannying for a family, and it was kind of the right timing with them. The kids were starting to grow up, and so she told them like, I'm gonna, wrap up the summer or whatever, and then I'm gonna move to Pennsylvania and try to start this thing. And she moved out here, and it was kind of slow starting. Like, I was bartending to pay the bills, and she still had, she has her whole rich bitch cross stitch thing that she does, cross stitch patterns and custom cross stitches and patches and stuff. So she was going like extra hard on that, bringing in money with that. And I was bartending, and we were trying to figure out van parts, but it was tough to like find our rhythm together,
Yeah.
And then that's when the world went crazy, the pandemic hit and all that. And so I couldn't bartend, but auto parts were essential. So I could go to the yards. I was going to the yards like 3 days a week and just pulling every single van part I could in a day, like filling my van and just like getting home, taking pictures of it and trying to sell it. And from that, it was like, all right, well, let's build a website. Like, what's the one annoying thing about selling on Instagram? It's like, well, people send you your zip code and you try to get a shipping quote and all that.
It's so tough.
So it's brutal. So it was like, all right, how can we like streamline this that it could grow? And we figured out how to, integrate software into the website that would actually like quote shipping on the fly. So it's really interesting. It actually like every single part that we put in dimensions, and then we have all of our standard box sizes in the software. And so basically like the program models like the most efficient way to pack the box based on what's in the box. So if you've got, a t-shirt, a hat, and a set of windows, then it knows like, okay, the windows go flat on the bottom, and then the t-shirt goes off to the left, and then the hat's oriented this way. And that's going to be, a 24 by 24 by 6 box, and it's going to cost this much to ship. So like it's really sophisticated software, probably absolutely unnecessary for the volume we were doing at the start, but like now we've grown into it and it's just perfect, so whatever people are ordering from us,
time saver. Holy fuck.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. So now you don't have to do like all those conversations back and forth to try to sell a part, because like if you're trying to order a bumper, you're going to get an accurate shipping quote. If you're trying to order a patch, you're going to get an accurate shipping quote, So
right.
That's what really like helped us kind of take off, that we could stop spending so much time just like responding to Instagram messages and all that, and could actually focus on like getting better product, more product, all that. And then from there, it's just kind of like, I don't know, we've just rode the wave. Like I've gotten tipped off to some really good, like I said, just lots of parts from like old truck shops and stuff like that, or people that stash things away for years, have a ton of parts in storage, whatever. And then of course, like, the big rig beef, our floor mats, they really took us like to the next level.
Yeah. So how like, were you just in the van like, fuck these floor mats?
So that was kind of like a pet project. It started with getting mats from the yard. Like I'd go to the yard and get floor mats. You don't pay much for floor mats at the yard at all, but it was crazy. Every single time I got a set of floor mats, I could put them up for $150 and they were sold in minutes, like without fail, every single time. So it was like,
no, I mean,
yeah, it was like, no, you're good. it's like, that's what I really wanted to do, was like, I wanted to do a floor mat, and I want to do a good floor mat, because I feel like the vintage one's super cool, but like they're always so worn out, like, you know, because they were made cheaply and mass produced.
Oh, they're
And
the thinnest of any vehicle's floor mats.
right. And so that's what it was like, you know, it kind of fits with all the shit we do, that it's like, you know, they don't need to be like show ready, 10 different colors, whatever. Like, they just need to be like burly, badass mats. And I mean, I have a background in sales, so like I'm pretty good at cold calling. So like I'm just calling like every rubber manufacturer in the country, just like figuring out like, how can we get these made? And like some people would just kind of blow me off. Some places would be like, oh yeah, we can do that. But our big problem was like, we needed low minimums, because like I can't move 100,000 mats right away, you know?
Right.
And so like people would be like, oh, that's fine, we can do just 100 for you. You know, you just have to get past tooling. And it's like, oh, well, how much is tooling? Okay, for your first set, it's going to be like 22,000. It's like, oh my God, I got to move so many fucking floor mats to try to cover that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Before you even see a nickel from it, you know?
Yeah. So just kept calling, kept trying to find people, and like, you know, eventually got in touch with the right person at the right company. It was really cool. It was someone who had worked on the production floor, moved into managing the production floor, and now they're like the national sales director. And so she actually helped me figure out a production process that would work for us, and then also using the recycled material, because our floor mats are made from recycled truck tires. So like just a couple different ways to like bring the costs down, that they were manageable, you know, and we could get them out there. And so it was really cool. It was probably like a year from the time that I started going to companies with blueprints and saying this is what I wanted to do, until we actually had mats in our hands. And like, man, the day we got them, like I was losing my mind, because it was just, we didn't really know. We like hadn't seen a sample. It was like, well, you just got to order 100 of them, you know?
Right.
And so like, we were like, are they going to be, you know, am I going to have accidentally approved millimeters instead of inches, and we're going to have tiny little mats? Or like, did I get, you know, a corner wrong and they're not going to fit, or what?
Right.
Like, so when they showed up, and like I said, we like met them in the parking lot, slid them right into the van. So it was like, I like literally just like ripped that pallet open, grabbed 2 of them and tossed them right in the van. It was like, oh my God, they're so good. Like these like are better than I ever could have imagined, you know?
Yeah.
And it was sick. I mean, I think so I like also, usually when I'm doing stuff, I kind of hype it up with social media and stuff like that, but I didn't know how this was going to go. So I didn't tell anyone we were doing it. And so then I just made a post like, yo, we have these, like we did this and they're awesome. And it was like, I think we had like 25 orders in the first 24 hours. And it was just like, oh shit, like we can sell these. This is going to work. Like we're going to get past tooling, and we might, you know, actually make a buck or two. Like at least we'll make it past zero, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, at this point now, right now we have 4 different styles of floor mat. We have them for the G vans 71 to 82, and then also 83 to 96. We have them for the Dodge vans 71 to 77. We have them for the Ford vans 75 to 91. And I mean, actually, I got to check our count after Van Nationals, but before Van Nationals, we were already in 175 vans and counting. So it's just been crazy, like to see, like, yo, people are like digging this, you know, and I feel like the sky's the limit, you know.
Yeah, that was actually how I feel like that's how I came across your Instagram at some weird point. Like it was just in my face, these mats, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I looked at the website, and then I was like, he found old mat, but like they look new. And then I was like looking at them, I was like, oh shit, they're like making, like this is theirs, you know, like they came up with this. I was like, that's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, I'm really excited for like what can be done with it. I mean, I just been putting it out in the universe. Like I want to be the weather tech for classic vehicles, you know, like we're rolling out into like not just vans, but like older trucks, you know, and then from there I want to go to like muscle cars and hot rods and all that shit, you know, like,
Right.
because so many people have come to us and just said like beyond vans, like these are just the best floor mats I've had in any vehicle, you know, they're crazy thick, super heavy duty, you know, like they're just badass mats. So like seeing the potential of them, there's a lot I want to do with them. And I think that's what I say. Like, I think the sky's the limit.
Oh,
It's just
sure.
it's just the two of us here, and we're all self-funded. So it's basically like once we sell enough of one mat to like cover our ass, we move on to the next mat, you know? So it's a
Right.
slow process.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if, you know, we don't have any like, I don't know, like investors to answer to, or, you know, anyone that's going to try to like cramp our style, for lack of a better word. So, you know, we're just going to keep on pushing it and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like heavy, like especially like in Michigan. So obviously we have fucking winters. Like if you got thin ass, shitty mats, dude, they're sliding all over. They're getting shut in the door. Your carpet's getting fucking soaked with snow that's melting. That's on your boots by the time you get in, especially like hunting season shit, you know, or just walking through the driveway and getting in your vehicle. And it's always been a thing, at least in my family. Like if you got nice mats in your truck and you're selling your truck, you're pulling them mats out and you're putting some shitty thin ones in, because you're hanging on to these thick mats that you've had for 15 years that have been in 4 different trucks. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like you
Well, and
nailed it
that
with
another
that.
thing, like with the design too, like, so we did like a full border, because I don't see that on like a lot of the vintage mats. Like we did a full border, so everything gets trapped inside the mat.
Yeah.
And like it was funny, I think one of the our started as a customer, our now friend Bo, he picked up a set of mats at the Van Nationals last year. And then at some point, like somebody on Facebook was saying like they found our website, but they hadn't heard any reviews on the mats. Like, did anyone have any reviews? And Bo came in and he was like, you know, I've been doing a lot of like R&D here, and you can almost fit an entire White Claw without spilling over. So, you know, they'll hold volume.
Right.
And I mean, that's the beauty of them, like being truck tires, being all black, like they're not going to stain. Like, I mean, when I'm working under the doghouse, like I throw all my tools on there. I mean, you can spill oil on there, like nothing matters. You just like grab the mats, throw them outside, hit them with the hose, and they're good to go, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That's, dude, like I said, that's how I came across your Instagram at some point, was because of these fucking mats. And I was like, what's going on here? And then just looking at your website, it's, you know, it's always changing. You always got new shit on there, or new old stock, or just old stuff that came off something that like somebody's gonna need. And so like, okay, so you got this van, and then that led into the parts, but like, how did you figure out like what, you know, these taillight bezels are worth, or like, you know, how did you just slowly?
I mean, honestly, like just throwing enough shit at the wall, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've definitely like blown it sometimes with like, I don't know. Honestly, I think I've made more mistakes with pricing things too low than I have like pricing them too high and having them not sell.
Right.
But I mean, it was, you know, just like watching the market, like as much as I'm a seller, like I'm a buyer too. So like I'm watching what stuff's going for on Facebook, what it's going for on eBay, like just trying to like get a sense of like what will people pay for these. You know, I never want to gouge anyone, but like also we're trying to run a business, you know?
Yeah,
so it's like
sure.
at the start, like we might say we sell something for $100 and it sells in under a minute. And then I have 10 people behind them saying, I want those if they back out. Well, next time it's going to be 125 if I find another, you know?
Right.
Like, so kind of feeling it out that way. Pricing's the toughest thing. And I mean, I think even more so, we really struggle with pricing, like, you know, the stuff that we make. Because it's just hard to decide, like, okay, like what's the market going to accept that we can also like at least cover our ass, you know?
Oh,
like,
for sure.
you know, like mats, I want them in as many vans as possible. So I want to try to keep it on the cheap side, but also got to like cover our tooling and, you know, plus like the actual cost of the mats and all that. So like, where do we find that happy medium that people are going to be like down with the price, but also like, you know, they're going to be happy with it and tell their friends and keep them coming in. So, pricing is tough, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I sell a lot of vintage shirts and shit like that, and it's not as tough as if you're making your own thing, because you can at least try to find, you know, completed listings on eBay. Like, okay, these sold for this much. Okay, like I'll throw this number up, and you know, usually you get close enough that it either sells or someone offers you like a more reasonable price, and you're like, oh, and then you go back and look, you're like, all right, yeah, I was like way over on that. But yeah, like you said, when it's under and you list something and you're like, sold already, what? Oh, I screwed that up. Like that, you don't forget those lessons, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, also the like, I guess the nerdy side of it. So it's kind of funny being like a junkyard dog and all that. Like I have a degree in finance. And so like I've taken classes in like pricing theory and of course like economics and all that. So, I have like some sense of, I don't know, like what needs to be done to run a business and not just like hustle a couple things here and there. Cause I think that's the one thing that like we've really been focused on is like longevity and scalability. Like looking at, like if I was just going to the junkyards 3 days a week, pulling parts and reselling them, like one, I can never get any more parts than what I'm taking, you know?
Yeah.
And two, like I'm going to get burnt out on it fast. And so like, I think that's what we kind of looked at is like, what can we do to make things repeatable, to make ourselves like a little more efficient so that we can like still keep costs down as much as we can, but also make sure we're like moving the volume to be able to grow the business. And so that's where, like I said, like the software for the website, when we started out, I mean, we were really like paying too much for software that we really didn't need when we were selling, you know, 3 or 4 parts a week or whatever. But now growing into that, like being where we're at, I mean, like I said, I think we shipped 1,000 van parts, and like never could have done that if it weren't for that software being able to quote shipping in that way. And the same thing with like doing floor mats, doing the mud flaps, doing like anything that we can, you know, have manufactured. It's like, well, now you can scale that to infinity in theory. So like, you know, hopefully someday we're moving a lot more than we are right now. But at least then it's not like one at a time that we're just like getting burnt on it, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, that is the whole point of being in business, is every year to grow a little bit. And
yeah,
you know, that's the whole idea, right?
Well, and that's what we see. Like, it's so fun because like we're really like we're doing the shit we love, you know, like watching the business grow. It just means that like, oh, we get to do more with our vans, or I mean, both of us have backgrounds in graphic design. So to be able to like doing Van Nats here, just being able to do packaging and do signage and all that, like we truly do what we love. And like the day to day, I mean, I will tell you, like every time I have to pack a set of pop out windows, I do not love that. You know?
Right.
But like overall, like we like, it's so cheesy, but like we feel truly blessed. Like we really love what we do and we're surrounded by what we love. So like it's been cool to be able to grow the business to a point where we can at least pay our rent and buy some groceries and keep this business like growing, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, to have the passion comes through just in talking to you right here, but also like what I see you doing on Instagram, and like you said, the way the booth was set up, the website's like got a beautiful layout to it. It's like easy to digest, you know, it's simple and everything's right there. And yeah, you guys are crushing it, dude. It's dope. Plus those plates.
Thank you.
Those plates, dude. Like
We had so much
Dude,
fun with those.
blew my mind that you had the "I think you should leave" fucking reference, that little video that you guys had, dude.
Yeah, we had fun with that. We like weren't sure if that would hit. You know, me and Allison were like talking about it, and we were like, it's like you have to like be really into that show, know that episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pretty niche thing. But I was like, also, I just think that shit is like so funny. I'm like, it's gotta work. Like, what, you know?
Right.
And it's actually kind of funny because then we were driving to Van Nats, and I don't know, you just sitting staring at the road for hours and whatever. Like, I just like had this epiphany. I'm like, oh my God, I'm that guy. Like, because we were driving by trucks, and it's just like, oh, big Kenworth cab over. Like, oh, look at that F-Series over there. Like, all trucks. Like, I just get so psyched, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm that guy.
Dude, you might be that. You guys might be the turbo team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, might be.
Dude, it's just so funny because I feel like nobody knows. Not enough people know about that show, or if they do, they're not talking about it. Because like I go to work and reference it, and people are like, "What is fucking wrong with you? Like, are you on drug? Like, you know, we get drug tested. You can't do drugs. Like, what are you talking about?" And I'm like, "You gotta fucking watch this skit. Like, pull it up on YouTube or something."
It is the funniest like show that has ever been made. Like, I really like. I mean, I don't know. I swear I've like watched through it 100 times now, and it like gets funnier every time. It's just so well done.
Oh yeah, you pick up on other like little nuances you missed, and and then I was like, oh shit, this dude is fucking from Michigan. Like for me, for some reason, for me, like just I don't even know what it is. Like, it's in your DNA or something. Like, when some dude from, like, I also live in this imaginary boundary. But, like, it makes it even doper for me. Because I'm like, it's fucking Michigan, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
I'm here to fucking amuse you. I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I get silly. Like something lace my Philly. There's plenty laughing. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Welcome back to the clowning segment of the Sometimes Choppers podcast. I am Michigan Garrett, and as always with me, Mr. OG himself, Ohio Garrett. He's coming in with a wealth of knowledge and a belly full of hate. This is Clownin, where we make fun of everything you love, from Ford pickup trucks to your old lady's buzz cut. So strap in, put your big girl panties on, because we're about to hurt some fucking feelings. Let's go.
Hey, so Rodney said let's do it again. So you got Garrett coming at you live. I still don't quite grasp the concept of live. We're figuring out technology. But anyways, coming at you from the Creep compound with this week's segment of Clownin. Now, I started getting pretty into this. And so I, got out a notebook page, started writing ideas, and man, they were flowing. Problem was, how do I narrow it down? I gotta get all this out before Rodney kicks me out from being too fucking dangerous speaking the truths, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, all right, let's keep it safe with something we can all agree on. Like, let's just start throwing shit at people who wear Liquid Death clothes. Cause like, you wanna know who wears Dasani clothes? No one, because that's fucking psychotic and weird. Stop it. I'm like, no. This is what it is. If we're gonna go out, if I'm gonna catch the big C and that's canceled, let's do it for things that need said and stick on the food trend because the Glizzy had good feedback. How the fuck is Jimmy John's a thing? Cold cuts? Unproportionate bread to meat ratio of cold cuts? Have you lost your fucking mind? And I'm like, no, I don't want to beat the food thing to death. I'm like, Garrett, use this platform. Speak your truth. Say what bothers you. And there's some target on your fucking backs. Because I'm going to say it. Shut your fucking mouth on the internet. It's a tale as old as time. It's always been said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it. Now, I've never done this because I wouldn't say shit if my mouth was fucking full of it, but I see it all the time. Like, what was that? Biltwell's People Champs just went past, and beautiful lineup, great pieces of rolling art, right? No matter who you voted for, but everyone had somebody on the page. Well, they didn't do this. They could have done that. Good luck, right? Shut your fucking mouth. You got 2% of the population building more than the other 98%, but 50% of those dorks are saying shit. Shut up. You can't do it. You couldn't do it, and that's why you're not there. But your ego's so fragile. You gotta make sure that your name is next to a negative comment under somebody else's achievement, so you could just take a little away. You're a cunt for that. That's just what it is. And I don't really pay attention to like Marvel, but I think this is my origin story. I'm fighting all of them. I'm fighting. You just send me the link. Let me see what's going on in the comments. I'm gonna start calling these dorks out. So that's a little challenge for you. Don't be that guy. That guy's not the hero. He's clearly the bad guy and a dork. But if he, if a little like, hey, fuck you guy is needed, give me a call and let me know. Because it needs said, and I'll say it. Later, taters.
All right, so this week we're going to be talking about seats, more specifically the spring seats. All you guys out there on these swing arm bikes with the spring seats, what are you even doing? It makes no fucking sense. It looks so stupid, and I'm sure it functions just as bad as it looks. Take that shit off of your bike. Put your ass on the frame rail so you'll look better then. It just looks terrible. Also on the rigid frames, I don't like them. They look okay when they're just sitting there, but when you're rolling down the highway, it makes you look like you're sitting up on top of the bike as opposed to sitting down inside the bike. I don't know, it's a bad look in my opinion. I don't really understand why you want a spring seat on a rigid frame anyways. If you're going with a rigid, go with rigid. Front end's different. Fuck off. But also this week, I did want to give a shout out. Now, I have no idea who this guy is. I've never talked to him, but I have been following him on Instagram for a long time. I've never reached out or anything. So like I said, I have no idea about this guy. He could be a complete asshole. No clue. But he's making some really cool parts with some pretty basic hand tools for the most part. All in like what looks like in an apartment building. It's fucking crazy. So yeah, no excuses, guys. Go out there, get you a plasma cutter, kiss that security deposit goodbye, and start making some parts. Make it happen. Also, just make sure your spring seats are in the building when it burns down.
Well, I was hyping it up at the skate park one time, and somebody was like, yo, Tim Robinson skates. And I was like, no. And they pulled up a clip, and the guy's got a mean tray flip. I was like, damn, that's so cool. He's like the funniest person I've ever seen. And like, he also does the thing I like to do,
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that show, like you said, I've probably watched it. I can't even tell you how many times. Like, I'll just put it on. The first time I saw it, dude, me and my buddy John were watching it at my house. And Christy walked in from work, and we were like on our knees on the floor, falling off the couch, fucking laughing. We've been drinking all day, but even if we hadn't been, like, that shit was so funny. And this was the first season, and I think it was like the has this ever happened to you? That fucking Turbo Team skit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the hole shrunk, and like
that was the one that got me. And like the hole was only big enough for a fart.
Yeah,
and, I was fully in tears. Like, yeah, that one really, really
Dude,
got me.
The way his mannerisms when he's like, and then you see in the trash a receipt from Home Depot. Dude, I fell apart right there. Like, just the way he his mannerisms and the way like the words come out of his mouth. It's so perfect,
Yeah, it's one of those you like look at and you're like, man, SNL like didn't really know what they had.
Oh,
Like he's
no.
like too funny, but then at the same time, like he needed a platform where he can make like jokes that are that like off the wall. Cause I think like that show is like a little aggressive for like SNL, you know, or like
Yeah.
not so much like general populist humor.
No,
So like
yeah.
it's so good that he got, you know, his own outlet that that shit's so funny. I love it.
He would have been so like stunted and bottled in on SNL, you know. Like it was a blessing that they were like, nah, this dude is terrible. He's not a good fit here. Cause, you know, he used to be a piece of shit. And for
that's so
for people listening who have no idea what we're talking about, get on Netflix, check out I Think You Should Leave.
go watch it.
Like, do your homework.
So
and
good.
Come back and tell us that you watched it.
Yeah,
sure.
it was like perfect too, because it just kind of fell into like everything we do. Because if you've seen like a lot of the stuff we do is like, you know, we'll take phrases from like old pins or stickers or whatever, or you know, graphics similar, whatever. Like I never want to just like straight up like rip off other things, but I want to like nod to it.
Yeah.
You know, and that just kind of like fell in. I'm like looking at Heidi and I'm like, it's literal, it's the motorcycle with a little house in the middle. Like it's so perfect, you know? So.
Oh, I sampled that skit on the intro and outro music for the podcast.
I don't think I noticed that.
Yeah,
now I'm gonna have to listen
at the
for it.
end. It's like, what's he say? Oh yeah, there's motorcycles or whatever he said. Because it's sometimes choppers, so it's like, oh yeah, sometimes you know, there's motorcycles
and a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah. So it was just so funny when I saw that. I was like, oh fuck, this dude knows about that too. Like holy shit! And then it made it hard. Because now I don't know which plate to buy. Because now you got too many that I like. Because before I was like, I'm gonna grab that Chevy one, and then he did that. I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm having this anxiety attack.
That's the number one complaint that we get, and I really think it's like I couldn't really have a better complaint out there. But like, especially at Van Nationals, like people come into the booth and they're like, "It's not fair that you have so much stuff. Like, why can't you just have one thing? Because like." I want a few things, you know?
Yeah, that's
funny. But
funny.
actually, it's funny that plate almost hit the chopping block because I think so. We did 3 prismatic plates for Van Nats last year, and so then we were like, we actually that fucking plate that we did that's like a take on the old Truckin' magazine stickers.
Yeah.
That one was like it did really well. We ended up selling out of it after like not too long, and. Sorry, Allison needs keys. What do you need keys for? Trailer keys. Cut that. That's your thing.
Cut that. Yeah, I ripped that off of the It's Always Sunny podcast.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah. I'd been listening to it that day when we recorded, and it just fucking, you know, something triggered. So cut that.
Oh, tight. Yeah. So okay. So we did the fucking plate, and then they like sold out. Actually, like fairly quickly, like after Van Nats or whatever, and people kept asking us like, when are we going to redo them? And we were like, you know what, screw it, let's make that like a special thing we do for Van Nats every year. We like come up with a few plates or whatever. And so this year I think we had somewhere between like 12 and 15 designs, and we were like, we gotta like narrow this down to 8. Like we can only afford to order so many, you know. And so that one was like really close to hitting the chopping block because I was like, it's so funny, but it's so niche, you know?
Yeah.
But I was like, it's worth ordering just so I can make that little skit and get a couple laughs. Like if I get a few laughs, I'm happy, you know?
Yeah.
So I went for it.
It was perfect, but my complaint is now I gotta buy 2 of them.
Sorry, man.
I'm for, you know, no other reason than my dad always had Chevy. Like anything Chevy, I'm like, ooh, I need that because it says Chevy.
Yeah,
that's fucking dope, you know. So I gotta grab that Chevy one, and then I was like, oh,
I really like the color on those. I don't know the way Allison did that, like fade out. she did like the Chevy Dodge Ford. She definitely did those like start to finish. I had no sight on those, and like she nailed them, you know. So
Yeah.
I was psyched. I think they were our most popular plates at the Nats, you know.
They're
A lot of
killer, dude. And then I'm like, I don't even
Yeah,
know if I'd
thank
want to
you.
put it on the front. I just want to hang it like, you know, above my bed so I can wake up and look at it. in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
It's so killer.
Oh, we get people that are like, "Oh, I want a plate, but like I have to run 2 plates in my state," and I'm like, "Yo, just put it on the wall. It looks sick."
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that, and then like you were saying with them fuzzy fucking covers.
Oh, the seat
The
covers,
seat
yeah, butt
covers,
huggers,
yeah.
heavy butt huggers, yeah.
Those
We
look
had
cool
fun with those
too.
too.
Yeah.
They're like an easy like because I mean getting your seats upholstered is expensive, you know,
Right.
and that's what it was like. You know, okay, this is like the fabric like looks good. It's like period correct. You know, looks like it belongs in like a funky old van. And it's just like a much cheaper way to deal with some like shredded old seats, you know?
Yep, yep.
So like they worked out perfect. And it was kind of the same with the steering wheel covers we did, you know, we called them death grips.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, you could go and buy an aftermarket wood wheel for $150 or for, you know, $25, you can cover up your sticky or cracked or whatever stock wheel and have it looking custom, you know? So
Yeah.
I think I've always been like, you know, as much as we've sold a lot of like rare premium parts or whatever, like I've always been putting my stuff together from the junkyard. So it's like, if I can come up with any ways that are like a way to kind of like trick out your van on the cheap, like that's my favorite. Cause that's all, you know, all Heidi shiny stuff is only because I was able to pull it myself from the junkyard and get it for cheap, you know?
Right. I did. I'm the same way. I'm like, I need a grill, and people are like, well, guys have grills for sale. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to
Yeah.
like pay them
But
for
it costs
what it's
money.
worth. Yeah. I want to go
Yeah.
like part of the fun too
Oh,
is just
yeah.
like going and finding it. And
Oh yeah.
I got this one spot I've been hitting, and I've gotten so much shit, and I think I've given
Hell
the
yeah.
dude like $20, $25.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's I think that's like the worst thing about having started with the salvage parts is like I really like emptied a lot of my honey holes, and like I kind of look back on that as like, God damn it, like I had like some really good like older yards that, you know, weren't crushing anything, and so stuff was sitting around a while.
right.
And so now it's like I look back on parts that I sold that I regret, and I'm like, man, I would have had those just sitting in a field. I could pick them whenever I wanted, you know.
Yeah.
But like I kind of picked everything clean and resold it. I have there's one honey hole out here that from the start I've said like I won't sell anything from this yard. I've like, you know, gotten tight with the old man that runs it, and
Yeah.
it's like I get stuff for me. I don't get anything for resale, and so that one will like, I mean, he's got like a lot from, you know, like way older stuff, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, like not even van era.
Oh wow.
But like tons of truck stuff and van stuff. So that's kind of been the one yard that I've just never sold anything out of, and the one that I'll always call when I need something personally.
Yeah.
But like other than that, it's like I swear I've like picked everything within like a, you know, 2 or 3 hour drive of here. Like,
Damn.
because for a while that was like, I mean, that was all we did. It was the only way to make money, you know? So it was
Right.
like, all right, well, like, I mean, I'm like, you know, on Google Maps, on satellite view, like checking out yards that way and trying to figure out like who's got vans and, you know, anything I can do to like try to locate this stuff. And, you know, now at least that we have like all this other stuff going on, I don't have to do like as much of that picking. But like I say, for a while, that was like how we built it. But it was good too, because that kind of like built a following of people that wanted band parts,
Right.
you know, and also like it got people trusting. I mean, I think half the trouble with like starting a website where you sell stuff is just convincing people that it's okay to like put their credit card number in, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah, for
get
sure.
people trust using your site. So like that's where it was really good. Like we kind of built up that following from the start, that now we come in with a product and it's not like, who the hell are these guys? You know, it's like, oh, they've been doing it. They're cool. So like I'm down with whatever they do.
Yeah, it was a great way to build an audience that it's your audience that when you do come up with something like the mats or the plates or whatever, like they're already interested in that stuff. So it's a smart way to do it, whether you knew that's what you were doing or not,
Yeah, it's worked out well. I think like a lot of the stuff, I'd say like we had no idea that we were doing it, like, but we're both just very like we just kind of go with the flow wherever like the universe drags us. We just try to follow it,
Dude, I say
And
that
so
all
like,
the time. Like it just
yeah,
has
you
a way of
gotta
working out,
you gotta let like I don't know. I try to like not get too spiritual or anything, but just in general, like I feel like there's kind of like this wave in the universe, and you just got to ride it. Anytime you try to fight it, that's when stuff falls apart. But like,
Yeah.
if you just kind of like let things happen, I feel like, I don't know, it's all worked out. We're like very into our like mantras. It's funny, she like when she moved here, she got me into this thing that like every single morning we say, money comes easily and frequently.
Right.
And it's like, you just have to genuinely believe it, and then somehow you do what you got to do to get by. But it's like I feel like just putting things out into the universe, when we needed a shop space here, we just kept putting it out there, and like every single person we saw, it was like, we need a shop space, we need it to be about this big, and whatever, and then the shop space just kind of falls into our lap, or like we want these floor mats done this way. Obviously it's like a lot of legwork of trying to make it happen, but overall, just keep putting it out there. Like, I'm not going to stop until this happens.
Right.
And, the universe has a way of kind of working itself out. So we just try to go with the flow any way we can.
Yeah, it's that thought and thinking about it, but also you're following that up with the year of work it took to get that mat in your hand, It wasn't like you were just sitting in the living room going like, I wish someone would drop off some mats. Damn.
Yeah, I think you can't just like expect it to just like, just like happen out of nowhere. But just on the other side, you can't like, I don't know, you just can't fight it. Like if something's going a certain way, because even like with this shop space, it's like if I was really picky, I'd really like something with a 10-foot door that I could get the big vans into. I can't get any of my vans with the high tops in. So, there's the piece of me that could have been like, oh, I'm going to sit and wait, until I find the shop that has the big door or whatever. And it's like, well, where would we be? If I was going to sit and wait. Like, I feel like you got to just, when something falls into place and it feels right, you just got to strike,
Yeah, you'd be laying under a pile of floor mats dead in the kitchen. Because all that shit would topple over eventually, and you'd be like, help.
Whole house would smell like tires and,
Yeah, especially you said it's like 5 minutes from the house. Like, that's so perfect, Like, that's
that's
the dream, right? Having like a separate space.
Well, we always talk about it's like separation of church and state, like we kind of have like our home life and our work life, and we can finally like when we go home, we do our best to be like fully clocked out. And it's kind of funny because sometimes we'll be like just sitting on the couch, whatever, end of the night, and like I'll bring up something about like, oh, I have this idea for a goofy Instagram video we could make, or oh, we should see if we can find a new supplier for plates or whatever. And like Allison will just be like, that's not on the list of approved topics. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. Once we're at home, we try to just be like, well, because we noticed it when we were running it out of our house. Like we were going crazy because it was also that like need to get by. Like we had to sell anything we could. So it's like, I'll get a message at like 11:30 at night about like, hey, can you check the mounting distance on these mirrors? Like I want to order them, but I'm not sure if they're going to fit my van. And it's like, well, I'm sitting on the couch in my underwear. Like, okay, I guess I'll run out to the garage and I'll take this measurement and I'll message you back, where like now it's like, okay, like, when we're not at the shop, like we're clocked out, and like, I'll still check messages and stuff sometimes, but overall, like we try to keep that separation. I think it keeps us from going crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. That's like the most healthy thing I've heard. 'Cause I'm constantly just thinking about shit and like my old lady's the same way. She's like, hey, shut it off. Like, that's not. I don't care what you were just doing in the garage for 5 hours. You're in the house now. Like, you've told me about it
Yeah.
all day. Well, every time I came out there to see like what you were doing, you didn't shut up about it. So now quit talking about it. And I'm like,
So
oh,
now
yeah.
you gotta shut up.
Yeah, okay, good idea. When can I talk about it again, though? Like, is there a time limit? You know?
I'll set my alarm and we can chat about it in 20.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool, man. It sounds like, dude, you guys are crushing it, you know?
We're figuring it out, you know. I think it's one of those, like, we're still kind of like I was saying with the mats, like we can't order the next mats until we sold enough of the last mats to pay for them. Like I say, everything's still like just self-funded, and so like I think it looks very like put together on the outside, but like really it's just two of us doing it like a little more than punk rock, you know. Like we're really just like figuring it out every day. Like, okay, well, what can we do next to make sure that we're keeping this moving forward? And I mean, it's been working. Like I said, I can't complain. We can pay rent every month so far, and what more can you ask for, you know?
Right, right. So besides like Van Nationals, are you hitting like a lot of van things just to vend, or?
Yeah, trying to do like more of a combination this year. We have, I mean, so next week is Truck Nationals at Carlisle, and we vended that last year. We're doing that again this year. I love that event because so Kirk Collis, who runs CustomVan.com, he hosts Vanarama inside of Truck Nationals. So basically, like Truck Nationals is the whole like Carlisle Fairground,
Okay.
and then Vanarama is like a truck-in inside that event. And so I really like it because I love trucks in general. And you've got a little truck-in, which is cool. But then outside of that, like you got lifted trucks, you got mini trucks, you got monster trucks, you got semi trucks, you got fire trucks, utility trucks, like literally every kind of truck. It's a massive show. And like the one thing they do that I get so psyched for is they do mini truck limbo. And so they like set up a limbo bar and they have these mini trucks just like hitting the bags and like scraping across the ground and trying to get like under this limbo bar. It's so fun.
Right.
And I just like, it's a nice change of pace. Cause like the one thing with the truck-ins is like, you really get like a lot of the same people out, you know? So it's like, it makes sense to vend Van Nationals cause it's like the van event.
Right.
But then like a lot of the smaller truck-ins, it's kind of like, oh, well, it's like all the same people we see at Van Nationals, you know? But like going to Truck Nationals, it's like a totally different crowd. So we'll be vending that in a week. I know like we did Cheap Thrills in Asbury Park last year. We'll probably do that again. Or I'm sorry, it wasn't in Asbury Park, in Seaside Heights.
Yeah. That was the one that had like a pool in the hotel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That looked fucking cool too.
That was a hell of a party. That's what we've been torn. We enjoyed the party so much that we were like, I don't even know if we want to vend that. Like maybe we just go and enjoy it. Cause I think also it's a very like chopper focused event with like, I mean, there's some vans there and stuff, but it's like, okay, so like we're in a swap meet full of chopper parts. And then we're the kind of like weirdos in the middle with like some van floor mats, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. I'm still torn on vending that this year. We'll one way or another, we will be there. I just don't know if we'll be hustling product or we'll just be enjoying the show. So that's another one that's just such a unique show. It's so fun to go to, like just seeing all the bikes lined up around the pool. And like, I mean, they take over the entire town. Every motel in that town, the parking lot is just filled with bikes or vans. And like, you feel like you're like transported back to the past, you know. It's super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a killer event. And other than that, there's, like I say, there's random truck-ins that we like may or may not vend at, you know, but I think like the two big ones for the year are like Van Nationals and Truck Nationals.
Right on. And people can always get everything on the website too.
HEVYHAULING.com, baby.
HEVYHAULING.com.
Yep.
So I guess before we wrap it up, if you could have one van, what's that van? What's it look like?
Heidi.
That's it. You got the van want.
I tell it once you meet her in person, you'll understand. I like tell people all the time that I have the greatest fan in the world. And I'm like not even trying to be egotistical. She's just like truly like I love her as like a fellow human. Like she has an energy about her that's incredible. But also like I mean, so in Heidi, like she's 6'2" diesel powered. So she's slow as hell, but like she always goes a fully mechanical motor. There's no computer or anything. So like super simple. Like
Yep.
she's like the chopper of vans, you know, like really easy to diagnose. I knew nothing about diesels when I got her and I figured her out quick. But then like for amenities, like we sleep because we like travel around a bunch picking and stuff like that. And we sleep in her in Walmart parking lots, like just as good as I sleep at home. We have the bed is a full size bed. We have, I mean, now we have running water in there. I have a, 110 amp hour, like house battery powers. We just put a 12 volt, fridge freezer combo in there.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, she's got it all. I did a subfloor with an inch of polyiso foam, rock wool on the walls, XPS on the ceiling. Like she's insulated like a house. I don't know if you know, I have a wood burning stove in there as well.
I had no
So
idea.
like, yeah, so like I've got a little fireplace in there. I've got a bed. I've got like everything. And then she's fully shagged on the walls, hardwood floors. I did like a quilted headliner. Like I like poured my heart and soul into her. So like anyone who asks me about like, oh, like, would you sell her? Like I'll drive her off a cliff before I sell her. Like she's mine to the end. Like I love her. So like there's a lot of cool combinations out there of like vans that I would really like to have, but I just can't imagine like ever liking a van more than Heidi. She's like fucked up in all the right ways, but like also she's like a, high class hotel. So yeah, Heidi's my pick no matter what.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully like she's going to get a little attention this fall and winter. I've been just kind of like, she's leaks from like every orifice, like just oil everywhere. I don't know if you're following along with the story. I did like rear main seal like 2 weeks before we left for Nats. That was kind of wacky, but I'm kind of just like always like band-aiding her. And so this fall or this winter, the motor is going to come out and get sealed up properly. And then I've actually, took me a while, but I finally sourced a turbo kit for her. So hopefully that'll wake her up a little bit. And in a dream world, maybe even throw like an overdrive trans behind that and really get some mileage. So then she'll be like truly the van I dream of. But at the same time, if she's exactly the way she is at this moment forever, I'd still be happy because like I don't need much, and she's everything I need in a van.
Dude, that's awesome. And it sounds like you're going to do a little heavy overhauling on that motor.
Oh, yeah.
See what I did there?
I like that. Yeah. Yep.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, you got anything else you wanna talk about? Anything you want to shout out?
No, I mean, in general, like check out the website, heavyhauling.com. It's like Chevy without the C, HEVY. I know a lot of people get that wrong and just spell heavy normal. But yeah, heavyhauling.com. We're always getting cool stuff. Keep up with us, on Instagram. Heavy Hauling is the page where we post all our stuff for sale. And then Heavy Van is kind of where I post, my travels, my pics, my vans, all that. So like, if you want to keep up with me personally, Heavy Van's the way to do it. I guess since we're here, I'll plug Rich Bitch Cross Stitch as well. That's Allison, and she's always doing cool handmade shit. So yeah, other than that, I mean, I could sit here and talk about vans for another 4 hours, but
Dude,
I'll
I
spare
could
you.
too.
We'll
Nah.
catch up again sometime.
Oh,
You know.
for sure, dude. Hopefully I'll see you out in the wild somewhere at some point, and I'll quit being
Yes.
such a bitch and being like, ah, it's too far to drive. But
Well,
like,
you gotta, now you've heard it, you gotta meet Heidi in person, and then you'll like really understand.
yeah, yeah, I do. You got me super curious about it now because I'm like, the more you talked about it, I'm like, I've looked at everything you've posted, but the way
I
you
never
describe
post
it,
her interior.
no, I've never. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't remember seeing any of that, but like the way you talk about it, I'm like, I really need to see this now. You know?
Well, the thing is, like, I'm always using her. And so, like, the only time it's like worth showing off is like at shows when she's like actually like empty and clean and all that. Cause, like, again, like, we'll get way into it when you see it, but like, I designed everything very modular. So, like, the cabinet in the back that has the sink is done like cantilevered over the top of like jerry cans for the water and the 12-volt fridge. So when those come out, they leave me with 4'2" between the two cabinets, so I can still carry like full sheets of plywood, or I can carry van doors or whatever. Like I can still haul bikes with her. Like I use her, and so like I've just never really done like an interior tour for like Instagram because I'm always using her.
Right.
Or it's like a show where she's all cleaned out, but then we're so busy like, vending or whatever that like I'm not like, oh, let me like stop and like make this whole video. So people have been bugging me like I need to do that. And I was actually just saying, I think like that like in the next couple days when I've got her totally cleaned out from the gnats, I'll take a minute and at least do a tour for, the internet. But yeah,
I don't know, man. I kind of
cool.
like the idea that you only get to see the inside if you see it in person. I kind of like that exclusivity of it.
Yeah, it's like it makes it more magical.
Yeah. It's like a mystery, It's kind of cool.
Well, we're not like that terribly far from each other, so I'm sure one of these events we'll cross paths soon enough. I mean, we're into, between bikes and vans, like we're into a lot of the same stuff.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll find our way towards each other at some point.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm just kind of now, we're dipping our toe in having the van, and I just redid the whole interior from front to back, and
I love those wheel covers you did. Those are cool. They're fuzzy.
Yeah, that's endangered werewolf fur that I got from Ted Nugent when he was in town. And,
hell yeah.
I plan on using that same material on the front doors. You know how like the oval of vinyl with the armrest is right there?
Yep.
I'm going to leave that because that's all in great condition, and then use that same fabric around the vinyl, and then to kind of cover up my sloppiness, I'm going to put that fur in there so it'll hide the transition and kind of bring the back to the front and make everything kind of cohesive. I just did the back door panels, and I used just I had some marine grade black vinyl that I got at an estate sale. So I did a strip of that, and then with that same fabric to kind of bring the black of the wheel wells to the back door. Now I got to get some of that on the front door and kind of keep it all, going.
That's the beauty of them. They're such a giant canvas that like it just never stops. Like I'm like Heidi will never be done, like she's always, there's like something I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, right. I could do this over here. I could change this up. Like, yeah, there's so much real estate to work with there. So now that you have like your canvas, and clearly you like to hang on to your vehicles as well, now you got some time, pour your heart and soul into it, and it'll just keep getting better,
Yeah, no, it's fun, man. I sit around just thinking like, what am I doing now? Like I did the headliner, and it's, the top over where we sit is just ridiculous.
You did like it's like a beer flag or something, right?
Yeah, so like up front, above the front seats is just like that Mexican blanket material, that just kind of blue and black, kind of matched everything I used. And then the middle is a Busch Light flag, because I drink, if I'm drinking beer, I drink Busch Light. It is what it is. And it wasn't...
Gotta rep your set.
Yeah, it wasn't until like a couple weeks of owning this van, I was like, the outside is the same color as a Busch Light can. You know what I mean? It's got like the blues and
Yeah.
the silver. I was like, fuck, this is the Busch Light can van, you know? Like that is what it is.
Hell yeah.
And then like over top of where we roll out the mattress is just some weird spaceship with aliens getting out of it. And
Oh,
the
perfect.
dome light is kind of like right in the beam underneath it. And, you know,
I like that.
I was like, it might as well be fucking weird at some point because it's
Yeah.
a van, so something on it's got to be fucking weird.
Yeah, vans are way better being weird than being normal for sure.
Yeah, so did all that, and then it had a tape, you know, cassette player in it, and it has 2 like power banks in it or fucking something. I was reading about it because like my left side wasn't really working. And I fucked with all the wiring and ran it to the speaker and had the whole dash out and was playing with it. And I'm like, oh, I just need to jump it from the right side and not have any left channel. And then that turned into replacing all the speakers. And then that turned into, at some point, like I fucked up the cassette and the tape was getting stuck. And I was like, I'm just buying a little Bluetooth joint. And
Yep.
and then I was just going to hide that. Like I was going to gut the cassette player and then leave the Bluetooth player inside of like where the guts for the cassette player would be, and hide it in the back so it still looked like a tape player, and then I could stick the remote for the Bluetooth like through where you would put the cassette to like turn it on off and all that. And then at some point I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna cut this thing out and stick it in there. You know.
Yeah, the conversion vans get like really tough because like they're all there's like a lot of like random accessory wiring, and you don't have like it wasn't like a single conversion company that just put out all the conversions and you can just get a manual for that. It's like there's so many different. I heard in the heyday that there were just hundreds of conversion companies, and like even the big names were like basically using subcontractors and like putting their brand on it.
Oh wow.
And so it's like, yeah, with like, you know, whether it's like stereo in the back or it's AC lighting, like any of that stuff that the conversion companies installed. I mean, everyone that I've torn apart has just been such a mess of wires that's like impossible to follow, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like you hear that same story over and over of like, oh, I was just going to do like a quick fix in the back. And it like almost always turns into gutting it, you know?
Oh, yeah. It turned into like, I wish I would have fucking pulled these speakers out when I had the walls off before. And now I'm like, I got to take all this back off again. But like, you got to do it. But yeah, I was talking to my dad about it because he hauled cars for a long time out of Pontiac and Flint. And
okay.
he was like, well, no, he was like, these vans came from the factory like this. He's like, wasn't a conversion deal. And I was like, oh, okay. I have no idea what I bought or like what I'm doing with it. And he was like, yeah, these ones were just like the Beauville. He was like, this was how you got it. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, why do you think it was in a conversion place? And I was like, I just thought that's what they did. He's like, no, you're fucking dumb. He's like, these ones weren't. He was like, there were conversion companies doing tons of shit. And he was like, but these ones, he's like, you know how many I hauled like straight off the lot? And I was like, I don't know how many. He's like, shut up.
How crazy.
It's like, all right, cool, dude. But yeah, when I bought this, the dude was like, yeah, I had my electrician buddy get the lights running because the lights weren't wired right. So you want to talk about a fucking mess of wires? It's in this van. It's just a fucking rat's nest. It's just me for days dying of a heat stroke with my meter in there. Like, this has power? This has no power? What does this wire go to? And it looks like they cut like a fuse box panel out of something and stuck it in there and then just started wiring stuff to it. So it's like, I mean, all my lights work and my radio works and my gauges all work. So it's like, it's fine. But yeah, like if something down the road goes, it's going to be a fucking super headache.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's a van. It's what makes it fun,
you know,
maybe.
It is what it's just, I mean, the whole reason I got the van was like just to have something cool to throw the family into to like go do something, because there's something about like if you arrive in a cool vehicle, like it makes the trip more enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
Like
totally.
throwing them all in my Silverado and going and getting ice cream, like, okay, cool. But like getting in the van, like we're taking the van.
Oh
going
yeah,
getting
and
ice
it's
cream.
like all smiles. Like I was saying, like it's so fun to be able to pull up somewhere and have a vehicle that like gets a 10-year-old stoked and also gets a 90-year-old stoked and
Yeah.
everyone in between. You know, like it seems to bring smiles to people's faces. Like overall, you don't have like, you know, because like I mean, I love Harleys. People get like certain people get a little cranky about them. You know, they're loud or whatever. Like
Right.
people who ride bikes are causing trouble, whatever. But like you pull up in a van, it's like I don't know. It's just so harmless, and like I feel like in general, it just makes people smile. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love vans.
Yeah. Before we jump off, I'll tell you, our one daughter went to 6th grade camp, and the buses were, bringing them back to school. So it was like right when I got the vans, before I had the overdrive fixed and knew what was going on with it. So it was still kind of weird, but I wasn't going very far or very fast. And I pull up and I'm waiting, like the bus shows up, and then she gets in, she got like her head down, she was like, "This is so embarrassing." I'm like, "What?" So I got like this true dual exhaust, like it's so fucking loud. It sounds like a Harley kind of, and we take off. She was like, everybody on the bus was like, "Who's that homeless guy in the van? What's he doing at the school?" I'm like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, this is embarrassing." I'm like, "All right, whatever." Next day, I'm at work, and they have this, like, parent picks up the kid, and then you drive through, like, a row of teachers, and they high-five and, like, whatever. hand cars. She texts me at work. She was like, "Will you please pick me up in the van?" At, like, 2 o'clock. I'm like, "I'm at work. Like, I can't get out of work. Like, what are you talking about?" She was like, "All my friends fucking love that van, and you need to come pick me up in the van." And I was like, oh, so, like, overnight it changed. At some point, like when she went back to school the next day, it was like that fucking van was so cool, and they're like 6th graders, So
Yeah, right.
it was just funny.
Well, that's sick.
I'm like, what happened to like it was a homeless guy in the van? She was like, oh, that was just these 2 girls, and I'm like, ah, yeah, fuck them.
Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I appreciate your time and like telling the story, dude. I love the passion that you have for everything.
I'm glad we got to chop it up. This is real fun, and like I said, sometime in the future, let's run into each other again.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. It's inevitable. So
hell yeah,
fuck yeah, man. I had something on the tip of my tongue. I don't remember what it was, but check out HEVYHAULING.com. You can get everything you need there. Oh, I know what it was. When we get off of here, I'm gonna grab some plate. Maybe 2 if I can't make a decision.
Sweet. Well, I'll make sure. That the box is well stuffed.
Oh, appreciate it, man. It'll tell you what size to use for whatever I order.
Yeah, perfect.
That's I can't get over it. I'm like, I do like, I don't know, a dozen or more like eBay orders a day or a week, and it's like, I wish something would just tell me like what to put it in. Half the battle's like, fuck, why did I even like post this thing? I don't know what to fucking put it in. I gotta find a box. I'm like looking for an Amazon box, something that we ordered. Does it fit? So that's dope. You got that.
Oh yeah, we got it. We got it down to a science.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. I look forward to seeing you out there in the wild.
Yeah. Thanks again. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Cool.
All right, later.
Later. All right, that's the show, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, maybe you'll be the topic of the next Clownin segment. I don't know. But check out HEVYHAULING.com for everything van-related. He's got all that you could ever want and more. So check it out. HEVYHAULING.com. Heavy Hauling on Instagram. And if you want to see pictures of Heidi and follow just kind of some of his day-to-day, it's Heavy Van on Instagram. HEVY on all of those. No A. Heavy like Chevy. You already heard it, so don't forget it. As always, thank you to the Garretts for providing us some much-needed truth and entertainment. I think that's what you call that. I don't know yet. But, and you can check us out, sometimeschoppers.com. Grab a shirt, links to the podcast, all that kind of stuff. And you can find us on Instagram, Sometimes Choppers. All right. Catch you on the next one.
This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Sometimes.
Choppers.
The hell is a podcast?
Riding our bikes around, thinking we're all bad.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to do. Chop that baby.
Does this excite you? Think about it.
Sometimes.
Choppers.
Design usually just comes right out of your head.
Everybody's got to have a Harley nowadays.
And it must be a chopper or you're not even eligible.
Chick want to take her shirt off? She could.
How you doing, Mom?
We only play loud music at 3 in the morning. Fine. Don't walk around drinking beer in public. Fine.
I was full of the devil.
Complete molding and raking of the motorcycle frame, wheel design, and engine building.
Stretched way up to the sky.
Full of the devil, man.
If you got a chopper, that's it.
Party people are only 2% of animals.
Oh, geez, the damn van, you know.
Shut up,
That's all you need is a van. I said, I have one of those.
I was full of the devil, man.
You know, in 10 years from now, we'll still be riding choppers and they'll probably be riding something different.
What's the matter with you, boy?
Yeah, guys. Those motorcycles.
Dead air.